right, so get this. Quincy Jones passes away, and the internet immediately explodes with all these theories.
Oh, wow.
Connecting his death to Diddy's 55th birthday.
Yeah.
Which he just happened to be celebrating.
Oh, my God.
Behind bars.
Behind bars.
You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
So you might be here because you're a music history buff. You're fascinated by pop culture.
Totally.
Or maybe you just love a good conspiracy theory.
Who doesn't?
But whatever brought you here.
Yeah,
we're going deep on this one. We're
Real.
examining YouTube commentary.
Oh, yeah.
Fan theories.
Love it.
And all the wild speculation surrounding these two giants of the music industry.
It's crazy, right? What's fascinating to me is how this whole thing spiraled.
Yeah.
It's not just about Quincy Jones and Diddy. It's about this cultural need to find meaning, to connect the dots, even when those dots are light years apart.
Totally. Is it truly coincidence? Or is there something deeper going on?
Yeah, it's the question.
We're talking claims of orchestrated events, past beef.
Oh, yeah.
And this idea that Diddy needed a powerful figure out of the picture.
Out of the way.
To regain his freedom.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, before we get lost in the conspiracy weeds, let's remind ourselves just how massive Quincy Jones's legacy is.
I mean, this is a man who redefined music.
Right.
80 Grammy nominations.
That's unbelievable.
28 wins.
Wow.
Producing Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Thriller.
I mean, come on.
Come on.
He worked with Frank Sinatra.
Oh, yeah.
Ray Charles.
Legends.
Legends upon legends. It's almost impossible to overstate his impact.
Right.
He wasn't just producing hits.
Well.
He was shaping culture.
Yeah.
Championing Black artists.
Absolutely.
Breaking down barriers for generations to come.
For generations.
I mean, his arrangement of Fly Me to the Moon played during the first moon landing. Think about that.
That is wild.
What its impact?
Talk about a lasting impact.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Quincy Jones, this titan of music, passing away on the same day. Diddy's turning 55 in prison.
Yeah.
So let's set the scene for Diddy's situation.
Okay, so the YouTube commentary, it really paints this picture of this melancholy birthday.
Oh, wow.
Diddy's kids are singing happy birthday to him through a video call. And you can hear the sadness in their voices.
Yeah.
Especially his daughter's final, I love you, Daddy. It just highlights the weight of this whole situation.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely adds another layer to this whole story.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the heart of this conspiracy. What are these YouTube theorists actually claiming?
So the core claim is bold.
Oh.
Quincy Jones's death was not natural, but somehow orchestrated to help Diddy get out of jail.
Seriously?
I know, it's crazy.
So what's their evidence?
Okay, so their evidence is a supposed past beef between the two.
Oh.
The timing of Quincy's passing, and this idea that Diddy needs major power shifts to work the system in his favor.
Okay, so is there any truth to this alleged beef? Did Quincy and Diddy actually have a contentious relationship?
Well, there's an interview from 2012 where Quincy was pretty critical of Diddy's musical talent.
Oh, really?
Even said he wouldn't know a B flat if it hit him.
Ouch.
It's a harsh critique.
Yeah.
And definitely suggests that Quincy didn't see Diddy as a true musician.
Yeah.
In the same way he saw himself.
Right.
You know?
Oh, yeah, that's got to sting.
Yeah.
Even for someone like Diddy.
For sure.
But does a harsh critique automatically equal a deep-seated feud?
Well, that's the leap that the YouTube commentator's making. They're going as far as suggesting that Quincy's words somehow irked Diddy enough to motivate, plot against him.
Oh my gosh.
But we have to remember, it's in the realm of speculation here.
Right.
There's no proof this critique actually fueled any real-world conflict, let alone something as extreme as the theory suggests.
Okay. Point taken.
Okay.
What about this suspicious timing they keep bringing up? Quincy dying on Diddy's birthday does feel a little eerie.
Eerie, yes.
Yeah.
But if we zoom out a bit, coincidences do happen.
True.
Sadly, millions of people pass away each year.
That's true.
Statistically, some of those deaths are bound to line up with big events, birthdays included.
It's like seeing shapes in clouds.
Yeah.
Our brains are always looking for patterns.
No, totally.
Even when they're not really there.
Exactly.
And conspiracy theories thrive on that.
They do.
This idea that Diddy needed someone powerful, gone, to manipulate his way out of prison.
Right.
It's where things get really convoluted.
It really is.
The YouTube comments start dragging in all sorts of figures.
All sorts of figures.
Each with their own supposed motives and connections.
Yeah.
It's like a bad movie plot.
It is. Okay.
Hold on. I need a scorecard here.
Yeah.
Who are these other characters they're throwing into the mix?
Well, first up is Big Meech.
Big Meech.
For those who don't know, he's a former drug kingpin who was recently released from prison.
Okay.
The commentator paints him as someone ready to take over Diddy's spot in the entertainment industry.
Wow.
They even throw in random details about Big Meech's new teeth. And his future plans as if that's somehow relevant.
What does that have to do with anything?
That's my point.
Okay.
It's this classic tactic of weaving together unrelated details to make it sound like there's a bigger narrative at play.
Got it.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
All right. So we've got Big Meech.
Yeah.
Supposedly gunning for Diddy's throne. Who else makes the conspiracy cut?
Next up is 50 Cent. Now he's known for his business ventures. And let's be honest, his fair share of feuds.
Right.
The commentator claims he's connected to both Quincy and Diddy.
Wow.
Potentially playing both sides.
Oh my gosh.
They even show pictures of 50 Cent with Quincy, implying some secret alliance.
Secret alliance.
It's all very cloak and dagger.
I can see how 50 Cent's history would make him an easy target.
Right.
For these kinds of speculations.
Totally.
But I'm guessing it doesn't stop there.
Oh no.
Does it?
They even drag Oprah Winfrey into this.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Seriously.
The connection is that Quincy Jones gave Oprah her big break in The Color Purple.
Yeah.
The commentator then goes on to speculate about their relationship.
Oh, wow.
And whether there were hidden power dynamics at play.
They really went there.
They did.
Okay. So we've got Big Meech, 50 Cent, and Oprah all tangled up.
All tangled up.
In this alleged plot to spring Diddy from jail. Is there anything actually supporting these claims?
Yeah.
Or is it just pure conjecture?
It's almost entirely conjecture.
Okay.
The commentator is basically creating a story by connecting random dots.
Yeah.
But there's no real evidence to back it up.
Right.
They're stringing together facts, speculation, and outright assumptions.
So they're building a house of cards.
Totally.
Hoping no one notices it's all built on flimsy foundations.
Exactly. And it's a common tactic you see online, presenting a bunch of facts to make it seem like there's a connection. Even when those facts are totally unrelated or taken out of context. You have to be so careful about what you're consuming online.
It's true.
Just because someone says things are connected doesn't mean they actually are.
All right. Skepticism is key.
Totally.
But let's play devil's advocate for a minute.
Okay.
If we were to follow their twisted logic, what would be the motive behind Quincy Jones's death being orchestrated?
That's where the theory gets murky.
Okay.
They never explicitly state why Quincy's passing would be necessary for Diddy's release. It's just this vague implication that his death creates a power vacuum in the entertainment industry. Which Diddy can somehow exploit.
But wouldn't Quincy's death cause like a massive wave of grief and support? Wouldn't that make things even harder for Diddy?
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
But the commentator conveniently ignores that part.
Right.
It's like they're so focused on pushing their narrative that they're blind to any logical inconsistencies.
It's classic confirmation bias.
It is.
They've already decided what they believe.
Yep.
And now they're just searching for anything that supports it. Even if it means twisting reality to fit their narrative.
Yeah, it's a dangerous game.
It is.
And it's why critical thinking is so important.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're dealing with these kinds of sensationalized stories.
Couldn't agree more. Let's shift gears for a second.
Okay.
Away from the Diddy connection.
Yeah.
This YouTube commentator also makes some pretty out there claims.
Oh, yeah.
About Quincy Jones's past.
Okay.
Saying he cheated death multiple times.
No way.
And even attended his own memorial service.
Seriously.
What's the story there?
It's another case of blending truth with fiction to make things more sensational. The cheating death claim comes from a real event.
Oh, really?
Quincy was supposed to be at Sharon Tate's house.
Oh, wow.
The night of the Manson family murders in 1969.
Oh, my gosh.
But forgot about it at the last minute.
Talk about a close call.
I know, right?
Oh, wow. That's chilling.
But what about attending his own memorial service? Is there any truth to that?
That one seems to be pure fabrication.
Okay.
Commentator doesn't offer any source or evidence for it.
Yeah.
It's probably just a rumor or urban legend.
Right.
It's been floating around online. So they take a real-life near-death experience and embellish it with made-up stories.
Yeah.
To make Quincy Jones seem almost superhuman. It's like turning him into a mythical figure.
Exactly. It adds to the mystique.
Yeah.
Feeds into this idea that he was involved in some grand game of power and influence.
Yeah, but let's not forget that at the center of all this was a real human being with a family.
Yeah.
His death is a significant loss.
Absolutely.
Regardless of these conspiracy theories.
Regardless.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We can be critical of these claims and analyze them while still being respectful
Of course.
of his legacy.
Absolutely. Well said.
Okay, before we go any further down this rabbit hole, let's recap what we know.
All right.
We've established that Quincy Jones was a musical genius with a career that will likely never be matched.
Right.
And his passing is a huge loss for the music world. We've also explored the main thrust of this conspiracy theory, that his death was somehow tied to Diddy's legal woes and intentionally set up to get him released.
Right.
And we've seen how this theory rests on flimsy evidence, misinterpretations, and outright fabrications to spin a compelling but ultimately hollow narrative.
Right.
So what's next on this wild goose chase?
Well, we still need to dig into Diddy's legal situation.
Okay.
The charges against him in this sex trafficking case, the evidence being presented, and then there's this underlying theme in the YouTube commentary that we need to unpack.
Right.
The anxiety about the future of Black entertainment in the wake of Quincy Jones's passing.
Right. There's this sense of unease.
Totally.
About what comes next.
Yeah, who's going to fill the void?
Yeah.
Is Black entertainment headed in the right direction?
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
But we're diving in.
We are.
Stay with us as we continue this deep dive.
Yes.
Into the world of music, celebrity, and online speculation.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so we're back.
We are back.
And we're picking up right where we left off, this bizarre conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Connecting Quincy Jones's death to Diddy's legal troubles and all the anxieties it stirs up about the future of Black entertainment.
You know what strikes me is that even if every single detail of this theory is completely bogus, it still tells us something about ourselves, about our culture.
Yeah, I'm with you. Explain that a bit more.
Well, we're talking about a theory that links a musical icon's death to a rapper's legal battles with Oprah and 50 Cent somehow thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
It's this tangled web of celebrity power and this almost desperate search for meaning in events that might just be random.
It's like we can't resist trying to connect the dots.
I know.
Even if the picture we're creating is totally distorted.
Exactly.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. It's not just about debunking a conspiracy.
Right.
It's about understanding why these theories gain traction in the first place.
Right.
What need are they fulfilling?
Exactly.
All right, so let's get back to Diddy.
Okay.
You mentioned we need to look closer at the evidence against him.
Yeah.
Remind us, what are the charges?
Joe.
And what kind of case is being built?
Diddy is facing some serious accusations.
Okay.
Sex trafficking and racketeering.
Wow.
He's accused of running a whole operation that exploited women for profit.
Jeez.
The details, as you can imagine, are pretty disturbing.
What kind of details are we talking about?
Well, the source we're looking at zeroes in on the testimony of Courtney Burgess.
Courtney Burgess.
She's a former associate of Diddy's who's claiming to have hard evidence against him. And get this. They describe her arriving at court last Thursday, swinging her ass,
seriously,
and popping gum.
Oh, wow.
As if she's completely unconcerned about the gravity of the situation.
That's a bold choice.
It is.
To say the least.
Yeah.
But is her behavior really relevant to the case?
That's the thing. It shouldn't be. But the way it's presented in the source material is clearly meant to raise questions about her character, to make us doubt her credibility.
Wow.
It's a classic tactic used to discredit witnesses, especially women.
It plays into those harmful stereotypes.
It does.
We see all the time.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on the evidence, we're distracted by irrelevant details about her appearance or demeanor.
Right. But let's try to cut through that noise and focus on the actual evidence.
Yeah. What does Burgess claim to have?
She says she has these media drives full of photos and videos that supposedly show Diddy involved in illegal activities.
Oh, wow.
And she's allegedly handing them over to the authorities as part of her testimony.
If that evidence is legit, it could be devastating for Diddy's case.
No doubt. But we have to remember, these are just allegations at this point.
It's true.
We haven't seen the evidence ourselves, and we don't know if it'll even hold up in court.
Right.
Diddy's lawyers will likely challenge its authenticity and relevance.
So it's a waiting game.
It is.
They can't jump to conclusions until the legal process plays out.
Right.
But it definitely adds another layer of complexity to this whole situation.
Absolutely. So we have Diddy battling these heavy charges.
Right.
And then you have Quincy Jones, this towering figure in music passing away.
Right.
And the YouTube commentary we're looking at links these two events, not just in terms of timing, but as part of a bigger shift in Black entertainment.
What are they saying about this supposed shift?
There's this real sense of mourning for Quincy Jones. Like, his death is a major blow to Black entertainment. With Diddy facing prison. And figures like Big Meech back in the picture. They're wondering who's going to fill the void left by Quincy Jones.
It's interesting they bring up Big Meech in this context. He's a convicted drug kingpin. Not exactly the image of positive influence.
It's a really complex issue. The commentator presents him almost as a successor to Diddy, as if his release from prison is somehow symbolic of where Black entertainment is headed.
It's definitely a troubling perspective.
It is, and it reflects a deeper anxiety about the representation of Black artists and stories. There's this yearning for the era Quincy Jones represented, when Black musicians were breaking barriers and achieving mainstream success without compromising their integrity.
So this conspiracy theory isn't just about two individuals. It's about this yearning for a different time, a different kind of representation.
Exactly. It speaks to this fear that the future of Black entertainment is moving away from the values and achievements of icons like Quincy Jones.
So how do we reconcile that anxiety with the reality of Diddy's situation? The very serious accusations he's facing.
That's a really good question. On one hand, you have this nostalgia for figures like Quincy Jones, who embodied a certain ideal of Black excellence. And on the other, you have Diddy, a contemporary figure who achieved massive success, but now might see his legacy tarnished by these allegations.
It's a difficult thing to grapple with.
It is.
But let's not lose sight of the fact that we're still dealing with a conspiracy theory here. A theory built on speculation and flimsy evidence.
Absolutely. But even if the specifics are off base, the anxieties this theory taps into are very real. People are concerned about the direction Black entertainment is taking.
So what does this all mean? Where do we go from here?
I think it's time to move beyond these simplistic narratives of good versus bad and have more nuanced conversations about the complexities of Black representation in the entertainment industry.
I agree. It's about recognizing that there have been incredible achievements like those of Quincy Jones while also holding people accountable for their actions. And it's about having honest, open discussions about the kind of future we want for Black entertainment and how we can all play a part in shaping it.
This deep dive has certainly taken us down some unexpected paths.
Unexpected paths, indeed.
We started with a conspiracy theory about Quincy Jones and Diddy. And now we're talking about the evolution of Black representation and the responsibility we all share.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
But that's the beauty of deep dives. Exploring complex topics, challenging assumptions. And hopefully leaving with more questions than answers.
Exactly.
And that's where you come in, dear listeners.
That's right.
What stands out to you about all this? What resonates?
What resonates with you?
What new questions are swirling in your mind? We've been unpacking this wild theory connecting Quincy Jones's death to Diddy's legal troubles. And honestly, it's been a roller coaster. We got claims of orchestrated events, secret alliances, this whole undercurrent of anxiety about the future of Black entertainment. But if we strip away all the sensationalism, what's the real takeaway here?
I think the biggest takeaway is the importance of critical thinking. It's easy to get caught up in these narratives, especially when they involve familiar names and tap into our cultural fears.
Absolutely.
But we can't just blindly accept everything we see or hear online. We have to engage our critical thinking skills and look at things objectively.
You're absolutely right. It's so easy to fall down the rabbit hole of these theories. But we have to be smarter than that. We need to ask ourselves, what's the evidence? Who's presenting it? And what's their agenda? Are there other explanations that make more sense?
Exactly. And that's crucial in today's world. Where misinformation spreads like wildfire online. We're constantly bombarded with content designed to trigger our emotions and play on our biases.
For sure.
It's up to us to be discerning consumers of information. And to think critically about what we're consuming.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we become better critical thinkers?
Well, first be aware of your own biases. We all have them.
Right.
And they can subtly shape how we interpret information.
For sure.
It's about recognizing those biases.
Yeah.
And making a conscious effort to look beyond them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We have to acknowledge that we're not always starting from a neutral position.
Right. Second, seek out diverse perspectives.
Yep.
Don't just get your information from sources that reinforce what you already believe.
Yeah.
Challenge yourself to consider different viewpoints.
Okay.
Even if they make you uncomfortable.
It's about stepping outside our echo chambers.
Exactly.
And engaging with ideas that might challenge our preconceived notions.
Totally. And third, be willing to change your mind.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong.
Right.
Or to adjust your beliefs based on new evidence.
Yeah.
That's the essence of growth and learning.
I love that. It's about approaching everything with humility and an open mind, recognizing that we don't have all the answers.
Absolutely. And it's about having respectful dialogue with those who hold different views.
Right.
We don't have to agree with each other, but we can at least strive to understand where each other is coming from.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of critical thinking.
Yeah.
But let's circle back to those anxieties that this conspiracy theory reveals.
Yeah.
People are worried about the future of Black entertainment.
Right.
About the loss of icons like Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
And the rise of figures like Big Meech, who don't exactly represent the best of the culture.
Those anxieties are valid.
Yeah.
They raise some important questions.
They do.
Who will fill the void left by Quincy Jones?
Right.
What will the next generation of Black entertainment look like?
Yeah.
Will it uphold the values and traditions of the past?
Right.
Or will it succumb to the pressures of commercialism and sensationalism?
These are big questions, and I don't think there are easy answers. Yep. But it's important to acknowledge these concerns and to have open and honest conversations about them.
I agree. And I think it's important to remember that the future of Black entertainment isn't set in stone.
Right.
It's something we can actively shape through our choices, our actions, and our voices.
That's a powerful reminder. We're not just passive observers.
Right.
We have agency in how this story unfolds.
Totally.
So what can our listeners do?
Yeah.
How can they contribute to a more positive and impactful future for Black entertainment?
Well, they can support artists and creators who are producing meaningful and inspiring work. They can demand more diverse and nuanced representation in the media. And they can use their platforms, however big or small, to amplify voices that are often marginalized or overlooked.
Those are all great ideas. It's about being active participants.
Exactly.
Not just passive consumers.
It's about investing in the future we want to see.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive. And it's safe to say we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
We've explored a conspiracy theory, dissected its claims, and uncovered the deeper anxieties that fuel these kinds of narratives.
Right. And along the way, we've hopefully encouraged some critical thinking.
Absolutely.
And sparked some meaningful conversations.
Couldn't agree more. Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
If this theory, even if false, reflects our anxieties about the future of Black entertainment, what does that say about our role in shaping that future?
That's a good question.
Are we just watching from the sidelines? Or do we have the power to influence the stories that are being told? And the narratives that are taking hold?
That's a question worth pondering.
It is.
Remember, we're not just audience members. We're all active participants in the ongoing story of Black entertainment.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
We did.
And we'll be back soon.
Yes.
With another fascinating topic to explore.
Until then, keep thinking critically.
Yes.
Keep asking questions.
Absolutely.
And keep the conversation going.
All right, so we're going deep today, a deep dive into Quincy Jones.
Oh, wow.
A name, everybody knows the name, everybody knows Thriller.
Absolutely.
And who's behind that? Quincy Jones. The man, the myth, the legend.
A legend, really. You can't talk about, music, the evolution of music, without mentioning Quincy Jones.
No.
He's done so much. From producing Thriller, which is arguably the best-selling album of all time.
Oh, for sure.
To working with, you name it, Ray Charles, Frank Sinatra.
Huge names.
The list goes on and on.
Yeah, overflowing trophy cabinets, so many awards. And sadly, just recently passed away at 91.
Yeah.
But his passing brought up a lot of conversation again about some of his opinions. His very outspoken.
Definitely not shy at all.
No, not at all. And that's what we're digging into today.
Okay.
We're going past, the Grammys and all the accolades. Let's look at some of those controversial statements that came up, with news of his death.
Yeah.
Get ready for some Diddy shade, some JFK conspiracy theories, and some eyebrow-raising comments about Michael Jackson.
All right, buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
I think it's really fascinating to kind of dive into a man who was so brilliant, but also undeniably complex.
Oh, yeah.
But to really fully grasp some of these statements, I think it's important to kind of give some context.
For sure, yes, at the stage.
About his career.
Yes.
As you mentioned, Thriller puts him in the history books.
Easy.
But let's rewind even further.
Okay.
His work with Ray Charles back in the 50s, arranging for Frank Sinatra in the 60s, composing for film, television.
Wow.
Talk about a lasting impact.
Yeah.
Shaping the sound of so many generations.
For sure, and rack up an insane amount of awards along the way.
Yeah, 28 Grammys to be exact.
Wow.
Which makes it even more striking when he turns around and starts to critique other artists. And the Diddy comments, for example, those caused quite a stir back in the day.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one. Remind me, what was that all about again?
Yeah, so this all happened in 2012.
Okay.
At a Spotify event, he was having a conversation with Bruno Mars and basically said that Diddy, Sean Diddy Combs, wouldn't know a B flat if it hit him. And went on to say that he has a doctorate in marketing, implying that he's more focused on the business side than the musical side.
That's pretty bold, especially coming from Quincy Jones.
Yeah, it is.
It makes you think about that tension that exists between artistry and the business of music.
Oh, absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah, and it's been present for decades. Think about the early days of record labels to the rise of streaming services, the Motown era. Artists were groomed and packaged for mass appeal.
Totally.
Who was really in control.
It's that push and pull between creative expression and the demands of the market.
Exactly. And to see, Quincy Jones, someone who navigated those waters for so long, weigh in on that dynamic, I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, he later clarified on Facebook that he meant no disrespect to Diddy and acknowledged his achievements.
I guess even Quincy Jones can maybe have a change of heart or realize oh, maybe I was a little harsh there, but that's just a taste.
Yeah.
It was just a taste. The real gold mine here is the 2018 interview with Vulture.
Oh boy.
Packed with claims. Are you ready to go through some of these?
Let's do it. Let's unpack some of this.
All right. Well, the most out there one.
Yeah.
He says he knows who killed JFK.
Yeah.
What did he actually say?
Well, he didn't just say he knew. He named Chicago mobster Sam Giancana as the culprit.
Wow.
And claimed that there was this whole connection between Frank Sinatra, the mafia, and the Kennedys.
Wow.
Alleging that JFK's father, Joe Kennedy, had asked Sinatra to talk to Giancana about securing votes for his son.
So that's a pretty serious accusation to just throw out there.
It is. Conspiracy theories surrounding JFK's assassination have been swirling for decades.
I feel like everyone has their own theory.
Exactly.
So it's not surprising that he would add his own, but to say, I know?
To claim that he knows for sure it's a whole other level. Okay. So whether he had some inside knowledge or was just repeating hearsay, it's up for debate, but it definitely feeds into that public fascination with these unsolved mysteries.
It's like people love a good conspiracy.
Oh, they do.
Especially when it involves like big names.
Especially big, powerful figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, it plays into our desire to want to know and to have the answers, for someone to connect the dots and reveal the truth. Yeah. Even if it's speculation.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because he knew Sinatra.
Oh yeah, they were very close.
They were close, so it's like almost gives it like a little more...
Yeah, it carries weight.
Yeah.
Because they worked together, they socialized together. Quincy Jones even arranged and conducted Sinatra at the Sands in Las Vegas.
Wow.
I mean, they were tight.
That's huge.
Yeah, so it's not just some random comment. It's like he was in that inner circle.
Yeah, okay, so that was just the tip of the iceberg. He also had some things to say about his own protege, Michael Jackson. Yeah. What did he say about Michael?
Well, he actually accused Jackson of stealing a lot of songs.
Hold on, stealing.
Stealing.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, that's the thing. He didn't give any specific examples. So it's hard to know what he really means. Like, was it outright plagiarism? Was he just saying that Michael Jackson was drawing inspiration from other artists?
But I mean, borrowing, being inspired by others, that happens all the time in music.
It does, yeah. I mean, think about sampling. It's like a core element of hip-hop and electronic music.
It's everywhere.
Where artists are taking snippets of existing songs and reworking them.
Yeah.
Is that stealing? Is it creative transformation?
They have a blurry line.
It's a blurry line. It really depends on who you ask and how those elements are used.
So maybe Jones was being a little dramatic with that accusation, or I don't know.
Maybe.
Either way, it's shocking to hear him say that about Michael Jackson.
It is, especially considering how closely they worked together.
For so long.
For so long, yeah, but there was more.
Okay.
He also claimed that Jackson lied about the reasons for his extensive plastic surgery.
Really?
Yeah, so according to Jones, Michael Jackson blamed his changing appearance on a skin disease, vitiligo.
Right.
But Jones claims that wasn't the real reason.
Oh, wow. So we're getting personal.
Yeah, it does raise questions about the pressures of fame, body image, especially for someone like Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Who was thrust into the spotlight at such a young age.
And you think about all the lengths people go to maintain a certain image.
Oh, yeah.
In an industry that's obsessed with youth and appearance.
Exactly. And it's worth noting that Jones was known to be blunt, even brutally honest in his assessments.
Okay.
Whether you see that as a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, it keeps things interesting, that's for sure.
It does.
Okay, but it doesn't stop there.
No, it does.
The Beatles thing.
Oh, the Beatles.
What did he say? What did he say about them?
He called them straight up the worst musicians in the world.
What? The Beatles? The band that changed everything.
He did not hold back. He specifically criticized Paul McCartney's bass playing and Ringo Starr's drumming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, do you think there was some animosity there, or did he just genuinely think that?
I mean, it's hard to know, but it's definitely a provocative statement.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like he was trying to, stir the pot to challenge the conventional wisdom.
Like, I'm Quincy Jones, I can say what I want.
I don't know, maybe he just really didn't like their music.
Maybe.
I know.
That's the thing, always unpredictable.
Absolutely.
But hold on, we got to talk about the Marlon Brando thing.
Oh, yes. That juicy gossip.
Yes, remind me what happened there.
Well, he claimed that Marlon Brando had affairs with Marvin Gaye, Richard Pryor, and James Baldwin.
Wait.
All of them.
All of them.
That's what Jones said.
Oh, wow. That's like, whoa. Okay, that's a lot.
It's a lot. I mean, it's hard to even fathom. It's definitely headline grabbing.
Yep.
And it does make you think about, where's the line?
Yeah.
When it comes to revealing someone's private life, especially after they're gone.
Yeah, especially after they're gone. Is that okay?
Yeah, where's that boundary?
Between sharing a good story and like overstepping?
It's a good question, and it comes up a lot when we're talking about posthumous revelations about public figures.
Yeah, okay. And then to talk it all off.
Oh, yeah.
Trump. He had to say something about Trump.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was 2018.
Yeah.
So very relevant at the time.
Yeah. What did he say about him?
He called Trump a crazy motherfucker.
Wow. He does not hold back.
Based on their past social encounters.
Wow. Okay.
And then he dropped another bombshell. He said that he used to date Ivanka Trump.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Really?
He even praised her legs, but said he disapproved of her father.
Wow, this interview's all over the place.
It was a roller coaster.
Accusations and gossip and politics.
You covered it all.
It's a lot. And I mean, I guess, like, we got to remember 2018.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot going on.
It was a very tense time politically.
Yeah. And those comments, especially about Trump, I feel like they probably hit harder.
Oh, yeah, they definitely did.
In that climate.
It's not surprising that he faced backlash for his bluntness.
Okay, well then came the apology.
Right.
What'd he say?
He released a statement referring to his comments as word vomit and bad-mouthing.
Oh, wow.
Acknowledging that it was inexcusable.
So at least he expressed some regret.
He did, yeah, although it's hard to know, was it genuine remorse or just damage control?
Yeah.
Because of all the negative attention.
Yeah, but either way, I think this interview gave us a look at Quincy Jones. Beyond just the music.
Yeah.
Raw, unfiltered, controversial.
It was, and I think it revealed a lot about the complexities of fame and aging and just the power of words, especially when they're coming from someone like Quincy Jones.
Right. It reminds you that even our heroes are human.
They're human.
With all their flaws and contradictions.
So okay, I think we need a moment to digest all this. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we have.
There's still so much more to explore.
It really makes you think, how will these controversies, color his legacy?
Yeah, it's like, on one hand, you have, just unparalleled musical talent. A guy who broke racial barriers, changed the landscape of music.
Absolutely.
And then on the other hand, you have these incendiary statements, some like borderline slander, and you can't ignore those.
Yeah, it's like, can you or should you even separate the art from the artist?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Can we still appreciate his music?
Yeah.
Knowing what we know now?
It's a question I think every listener is going to have to ask themselves.
Yeah.
But I think it's also worth examining, like, the broader cultural context.
That's where it gets interesting.
Of these controversies.
Yeah.
Like, what do they tell us about ourselves? Take the JFK assassination. Like, conspiracy theories, they thrive in uncertainty and mistrust.
Yeah.
And Jones' claim, it feeds right into that.
It's like he's offering a solution to a puzzle that's haunted the American psyche for decades.
It's like, here's your answer.
Here it is.
And he involves people like Sinatra and the mafia.
Right.
So it plays into this whole idea of, like, powerful people.
Powerful forces behind the scenes controlling everything.
Yeah.
And I think that really resonates with people who feel powerless.
Totally. It's almost like an old film noir movie with all the shadowy figures and you don't know.
Yeah. Pulling the strings.
Exactly.
And then you have the Michael Jackson accusations, which tap into a different kind of fascination, this like fall from grace, this unraveling of an icon.
Yeah, and it's more potent because it's coming from someone who was so close.
From a mentor, a father figure.
To Michael.
Yeah, it's almost Shakespearean, right?
Yeah.
It's the betrayal.
The betrayal.
By a trusted mentor.
And then you have the plagiarism thing, like, even without examples, it speaks to this anxiety about artistic originality.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Where's the line between inspiration and imitation?
Yeah.
How much is too much? Think about the Blurred Lines lawsuit.
Oh, yeah.
With Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams.
Huge.
It sparked a whole debate about what constitutes musical plagiarism.
So it's not always so clear cut.
Right. It's not.
It makes you wonder, like, maybe Jones, with his experience in the industry, saw things differently.
Yeah, maybe.
Than the Marlon Brando thing. That's just pure gossip.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, we're so curious about these celebrities. Private lives.
We want to peek behind the curtain, even if it means, rumors, speculation.
Yeah, we want the dirt.
We want the dirt. We want the vulnerability, the humanness, even if it's unverified, even if it's potentially hurtful.
It's like, we need them to be flawed to relate to them.
Exactly.
And then, the Trump comments, those were timely.
Very timely.
Everyone had an opinion.
Especially given the political climate at the time.
And Jones definitely did not hold back.
He did not?
It really highlighted how, like, celebrity voices amplify these tensions.
Right. They become these lightning rods.
And they carry weight.
Extra weight, whether they intend to or not.
Right. So it seems like all these controversies are linked. It's about power and fame, and it's about human nature.
Yeah. And, Jones, whether he meant to or not, is holding up this mirror to society, forcing us to confront these biases.
It's not just about Quincy Jones. It's about us.
It's about us. Exactly.
Okay, well, so far we've talked about, like, the what of his controversial statements. Let's talk about the why.
Okay.
Why would someone like Quincy Jones risk everything?
Why put it all out there?
Alienate fans, tarnish his reputation?
Right, with so much to lose.
Why do you think?
Well, I think there are a few possible explanations. Maybe as he got older, he just stopped caring.
Oh, like he just didn't care about the consequences anymore?
He didn't care. Like, I've reached a point in my life where I'm just going to say what I want. Yeah. I've earned that right.
Right.
He reached a level of success where he didn't feel like he was beholden to anyone.
To anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Quincy Jones.
He's Quincy Jones.
He can say what he wants.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that perspective.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't need to filter anymore. He's just authentically himself.
Yeah. Yeah, and remember, this is a man who, for decades, navigated, a predominantly white industry, broke down barriers, achieved extraordinary success.
Right.
He faced challenges, prejudices that most of us can't even imagine.
Right.
So maybe his outspokenness, his willingness to challenge the status quo.
It was part of him.
It was part of him that allowed him to thrive.
It's not just about aging, it's about his life. It's about his experience.
Exactly.
Pushing boundaries and speaking truth to power.
Yeah, and, his comments, while often harsh, I think, stemmed from a place of deep passion for his craft. Oh. I mean, look at his criticism of Diddy and the Beatles.
Right.
It was almost like he was frustrated with the decline in musical standards.
He was like holding on to this ideal.
Yeah.
That was disappearing.
He was a product of a different era.
Okay.
Where, musical virtuosity was so important.
So maybe it's not about like agreeing or disagreeing with him. It's about understanding him.
It's about understanding the complexity,
the
forces that shaped his worldview,
right?
Why he said what he said.
So it's about the good, the bad, the in-between.
It's the full picture.
To just dismiss him is to miss the whole point.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the controversies, we got the context, the motivation. What about the impact? How is he going to be remembered?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
I think it's going to be debated for years to come.
Oh, yeah.
But I have a feeling that his musical legacy, it's going to endure.
Yeah, Thriller alone,
exactly.
cements that.
But it's more than just that.
Yeah.
His influence is felt across genres, across generations.
He's everywhere.
He shaped the sound of pop, jazz, R&B, film scores. You can't escape it.
And he helped break down racial barriers in the music industry.
He did, yeah. He opened so many doors for countless artists.
What came after?
He was a cultural trailblazer.
He really was.
Challenging norms, defying expectations, paving the way for diversity and representation.
So his legacy is a mix of all these things.
It's all part of it.
The music, the controversies, the flaws, the triumphs.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly.
It's all there.
It's all there. And I think that's what makes this so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's embracing the complexity, the messiness of it all.
It's what makes us human.
It makes us human, and it makes for a really interesting deep dive. Yeah, it really is interesting, just thinking about it all, how it's all going to play out. Will the music outweigh the words, the opinions, the unfiltered, sometimes just raw honesty?
It's messy, right?
It is.
A legacy, it's rarely like neat and clean, especially with someone like Quincy Jones. He lived such a full life.
Yeah, very long and complex career.
And he wasn't afraid to, he spoke his mind, we know that.
He did.
And yeah, some things may have landed poorly, but I kind of admire that.
The honesty.
Yeah, like not caring. I'm just going to say it. Even if, ruffled some feathers.
Yeah, there is something, kind of refreshing about that, especially in today's age where, everything is so curated, image is everything.
Everyone's so careful.
Yeah, it's like he was this throwback, back when people just said what they thought.
Like he was definitely a product of a different time.
Yeah.
And I think we don't have to agree with everything he said, but I think we have to remember where he came from.
To understand the context, right?
Yeah, the experiences,
The experiences that shaped him, and to just call him like a grumpy old man, you'd be missing the whole point.
Right.
This is a guy who saw like the evolution of music.
Oh, yeah.
The changes, the highs, the lows.
Yeah.
And wasn't afraid to talk about it.
No, he gave us a look behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And wasn't always pretty, but
no.
I think that's why we're so interested in his story.
It is. It's not just the music. It's him.
It's about Quincy Jones, yeah.
The complex, the contradictions, all of it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, his impact on music, you can't
undeniable
deny that. No,
Thriller alone, just think about it. The impact culturally.
Oh, it's huge.
I mean, it transcended genres. It broke down racial barriers, global phenomenon.
Global.
And that was just one.
Is one chapter.
Yeah, in a very long and illustrious career.
And he worked with, I mean, you name it, Ray Charles, Frank Sinatra, Michael Jackson.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
And not just a producer.
No, composer, arranger, conductor.
All of it.
A true polymath.
Yeah, and so versatile.
Yeah, I mean, jazz, pop, soul, classical, he blended it all.
It's like, and he always brought out the best in the people he worked with.
He pushed them to their limits.
Yeah, he wasn't just a hit maker, he was a visionary, an innovator.
And his influence is still felt today. I mean,
oh, sure.
All these artists citing him as an inspiration.
Yeah, all over.
Sampling, reinterpreting his work.
Yeah, he's gone, but the music lives on.
Exactly. And I think that's a fitting tribute to a man who dedicated his whole life to music.
It is.
I mean, he might have been controversial, but he was a genius, he was passionate, and he made a lasting impact.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, this deep dive into Quincy Jones.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, the highs and lows.
We've seen it all.
We saw it all. And I think we understand him better now.
I hope so.
The man behind the music.
And I think it reminds us that, legacy it's complicated. It's both triumph and controversy.
It is. And I think, to really get it, to really get him,
yeah,
we got to embrace the nuance.
Yeah, the contradiction.
The messiness of it all.
Because that's what makes life interesting.
It really is.
And it makes for a very memorable deep dive.
It does. That's Quincy Jones. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to try to make sense of this Diddy situation.
Yeah, it's been wild.
It's been crazy to watch unfold, right? Every time I refresh Twitter, there's another crazy headline.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Court documents, statements, social media, news reports.
It's a mess. And it's serious stuff. So we're going to take a deep dive, break it all down.
Yeah, cut through the noise, stick to the facts, see what's actually going on.
Okay, so to get started, we need to rewind back to early 2023.
Right. That's when that lawsuit from Cassie Ventura popped up.
The one with the abuse and trafficking allegations.
Exactly. And that case got settled so fast. Makes you wonder.
Yeah, it does. And he had those other lawsuits.
Oh, right. The ones from Joy Dickerson-Neal and that anonymous woman.
It's still pending, right?
Yep, Diddy's team's denying everything. But then 2024 hits and things get really intense.
Lil Rod Jones enters the picture.
Diddy's former music producer, right, drops this bombshell lawsuit.
Oh yeah, the one with the sex trafficking claims and the assaults and everything.
Yeah, and drug use. Even claims he saw Diddy get violent.
Jones doesn't hold back in that lawsuit. Really graphic descriptions of his time with Diddy.
Like, he claims he was drugged repeatedly, would wake up with, sex workers.
Whoa, hold on. For people who might not know, what exactly does drugged mean in this context?
Oh, right. Sorry. It means someone gave him drugs without his knowledge or consent.
Which is obviously illegal and super dangerous.
Absolutely. And that whole idea of Diddy using drugs to control people.
Yeah, that's a big part of Jones's story. Like that writer's camp at Chalice Recording Studios.
Oh, yeah. The one Diddy turned into a nightclub, supposedly.
Right. Jones says Diddy was forcing everyone to drink De Leon tequila, and he thought it was laced.
And wouldn't take no for an answer. Sounds like a really scary situation.
Like out of a movie. Jones even claims he saw a shooting there, and that Diddy covered it up.
Yeah, that shooting hasn't gotten a lot of attention, but it's a huge detail.
If it's true, and Jones can prove it, that's way beyond just a civil lawsuit, right?
Absolutely. Could have major legal consequences.
And then there are the accusations of Diddy running a sex trafficking operation.
Yeah, Jones claims it was just a normal thing to see Diddy ordering drugs and sex workers.
And that he was forced to solicit them himself.
Yeah, but the most disturbing part, I think, is the claim about the hidden cameras.
Hidden camera.
All over Diddy's houses, supposedly, recording everything.
Wow, that is creepy. Makes you wonder what kind of footage might be out there.
And if it exists, if it's admissible in court, it could really hurt Diddy's case.
Admissible meaning like a judge decides it can be used as evidence, right?
Right. And get this, Jones claims he has hundreds of hours of footage.
Hundreds of hours?
Yeah, apparently Diddy hated repeating himself, so he made Jones film everything.
So there could be actual recordings of what Jones is describing?
Potentially, yeah. And that would be crucial for backing up his claims.
Jones also talks about this listening party with Chris Brown. Underage girls were there, supposedly.
And Diddy was forcing everyone to drink laced liquor again, according to Jones.
Okay, we got to be super clear here. These are just allegations, not proven facts.
Totally. Chris Brown hasn't been charged with anything related to this.
And Diddy's lawyers deny it all, of course?
Right. But Jones, he keeps going. Claims Diddy would brag about all kinds of crazy stuff.
Like what?
Like shooting a woman in the face back in '99 and getting away with it.
Seriously?
Yeah, thanks to his fancy lawyer, apparently. And having Jennifer Lopez carry his gun into clubs.
Oh, come on. How much of that can we actually believe?
It's hard to say. Bragging about past crimes doesn't automatically prove current accusations.
True, but it definitely doesn't make you look good.
Nope. Adds to this whole image of Diddy being untouchable.
Above the law, yeah.
Right. And Jones also claims Diddy threatened him physically multiple times.
What, like actual threats?
Yeah, even said he'd eat his face or something like that.
Okay, that's just terrifying.
Threats are never something to take lightly, right?
No, definitely not. Part of that whole intimidation and control thing.
Exactly. And then, as if things couldn't get any more complicated, Jones brings in Universal Music.
Universal, like the massive music corporation.
Yeah. Claims they were in on it, knew about Diddy's alleged activities, even participated.
Paid for sex workers, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a huge accusation.
No kidding. I bet Universal's not happy about that.
Nope, they've denied everything, called the claims offensively false.
So it's Jones and his lawyers versus Diddy and Universal and their lawyers.
It's a legal showdown, and it's getting pretty intense.
All right, so we've got this whole Jones saga going on, but then there's that other lawsuit, the one from Gray or Omari.
The one about Diddy's son, Christian Combs, right?
Yeah, the allegations of sexual assault on that yacht Diddy chartered.
Well, Mari describes this crazy party atmosphere, non-stop drugs, and just chaos.
Hedonistic is the word she uses, I think.
Yeah, that's it. And she claims drinks were being spiked, that Diddy was ignoring everything.
Sounds pretty dangerous.
Oh, for sure. Omari even describes seeing another woman totally freaking out, locking herself in a room.
Because she felt unsafe.
Exactly. Wanted to get off the yacht. Suggests Omari might not be the only one with a bad experience there.
So that's the backdrop for the allegations against Christian Combs.
Right. Omari claims he forced her to drink, spiked her drink, and then touched her inappropriately.
She goes into a lot of detail about the alleged assault.
Yeah.
Even has a transcript of a recording, supposedly.
A recording? Wow. If that's real and admissible, that's huge.
And to make things even weirder, she says Cassie's song, Me and You, was playing during the assault.
Which is ironic considering Cassie's own lawsuit against Diddy.
Yeah, a little too on the nose, almost. But wait, there's more.
Hold on, this gets crazier.
Apparently Rodney Jones was on the yacht too. And he's the one who recorded the alleged assault.
Seriously, okay, this just got a whole lot more complicated.
Now, after the alleged assault, Omari claims Diddy and his people isolated her, retaliated against her, and eventually fired her.
She says it really messed her up mentally. Depression, eating disorder, even suicidal thoughts and seizures.
That's awful. It really shows how these kinds of things can have lasting consequences, even if you never see a courtroom.
Absolutely. Trauma like that can stay with you for a long time.
So Omari's suing both Christian and Diddy, claiming Diddy's responsible for his son's actions.
Makes sense legally. Diddy chartered the yacht, so he had a duty to protect the people on board.
That's the argument, yeah. But of course, Diddy's lawyers are denying everything again.
They're calling the lawsuit lewd and meritless.
Yeah.
Saying Omari's lawyer, Tyrone Blackburn, is just trying to get a big settlement.
What, like he's exaggerating things to pressure them into paying up?
That's the implication. They're also going after Blackburn for how he's handling Jones's case, too.
Saying he's ignoring evidence and just wants media attention.
Yeah. But Blackburn's fighting back, defending his clients and their claims.
Classic legal back and forth. A lot of finger pointing and different versions of events.
It's a mess, but it gets even messier when you consider all the other people who've been dragged into this.
Oh, right. Like Daphne Joy, who Jones claimed was a paid sex worker.
She went off on Instagram, completely denied it, called it character assassination.
Yeah, and threatened to sue Jones and Blackburn for defamation.
It shows how damaging these accusations can be, even if they're not true.
Totally. Her reputation, her career, everything could be affected.
For sure. And if Jones loses that lawsuit, he could be on the hook for a lot of money.
Right. Liable means being legally responsible for something, so he could end up owing her damages.
Yep. High stakes all around.
And young Miami, who Jones also named, denied being a sex worker too.
Yeah, said she was frustrated with how the media was twisting things.
You got to feel for these women. Their personal lives are being splashed all over the news.
It's a tough spot to be in. And then there's Jade Rahe, the Instagram model.
She denied it through her publicist, right?
Yeah. Emphasize respecting people's privacy, which is fair enough.
But then you've got Stevie J, Diddy's longtime friend, who's defending him publicly.
Called the whole thing another crucifixion of a black man.
Which is interesting because it goes against something Jones claimed.
Oh, right. Jones said Diddy showed him a video of Stevie J in a compromising position.
Which he saw as manipulation or grooming.
Yeah. So Stevie J's support for Diddy gets a little murky.
Makes you wonder what's really going on there.
Oh.
But wait, we can't forget about Jonathan A.
Oh, man, that whole story's wild. The guy arrested for that shootout at the Trump Hotel.
Back in 2018, right?
Yep. During his interrogation, he starts talking about Diddy and this crazy conspiracy.
And claimed he had sex with Cassie Ventura at Diddy's request.
Even called himself a sex slave for Diddy and Cassie. It's a lot.
It's out there, for sure.
Yeah.
But some of what he says does seem to line up with the lawsuits.
Like him talking about having sex with Cassie years before her lawsuit.
And the rampant drug use in Diddy's circle. Echoes what Jones is alleging.
We got to be careful with A, though. He's known for conspiracy theories.
Right. Can't take everything he says as fact. But still, even a small part of it could be relevant.
Totally. Investigators and lawyers are going to be looking into it.
So, summing it all up, this is a complicated situation. Lots of different players, different stories.
It's a legal battle royale, and it's just getting started.
A real mess, and no easy answers. But one thing's for sure. These allegations, true or not, are going to have a huge impact.
On Diddy's career, his legacy, everything. Even if he never gets convicted of anything, this is going to stain his reputation.
It's a reminder that power and money don't make you invincible.
Nope, not at all. And at the end of the day, this is about alleged abuse and exploitation.
And the need for justice and accountability.
Absolutely. We'll be back in part 2 to explore the potential outcomes of all of this and what it could mean for the music industry as a whole.
Stay tuned. Okay, so we just spent some time untangling all those accusations against Diddy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And now it's like, what happens next? What does all this mean for him legally, and for his career?
Right, because even if he never sees the inside of a courtroom, even if he wins all these lawsuits,
the damage is kind of already done, right?
I think so. I mean, his whole image is success, luxury, empowerment, all that.
And now it's all about exploitation, abuse.
Total PR nightmare. We've already seen some sponsors backing away.
Yeah, who wants to be associated with that? But let's talk about the legal stuff. What could actually happen with these lawsuits?
Well, predicting legal outcomes, it's impossible, right?
Yeah, true.
But especially with cases this complex.
Okay, but just for fun, let's play what if. What if some of these allegations are actually true? What's Diddy looking at legally?
Oh, if there's evidence of sex trafficking, assault, drug distribution, he could be facing some serious criminal charges.
We're talking jail time?
Potentially, yeah. And huge fines, obviously.
Okay. And what about the civil lawsuits? Could he lose a ton of money there too?
Oh, absolutely. We could be talking millions, tens of millions even, depending on the claims.
So the stakes are pretty high.
Yeah, no kidding. But beyond the legal stuff, the money, what about Diddy's legacy? How will people remember him?
It's a good question. Will it be for his music, his business success, or will all this just overshadow everything?
That's the tough part. How do we reconcile the good with the bad? I guess we'll see.
It makes you think about, how we evaluate these kinds of accusations in general, right?
Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
Oh, yeah. With social media, everything's so instant. Everyone's got an opinion.
It's easy to get caught up in the drama, the gossip.
Totally. And while those feelings are, understandable, we got to be careful.
Not to jump to conclusions, right?
Exactly. We need to think critically. Where's the information coming from? Is it reliable?
What's the evidence? Are we dating the whole story?
Right, because unfounded accusations can do real damage,
To the accused, but also to actual victims.
That's a really important point. It's a delicate balance.
So how do we find that balance? How do we, participate in these conversations without making things worse?
Well, like I said, critical thinking is key. Do your research, look for multiple perspectives, don't just rely on one source.
Don't just, retweet the first thing you see.
Right, and remember, legal proceedings are separate from public opinion.
Just because someone's accused doesn't mean they're guilty?
Exactly. We need to respect due process, let things play out.
No more online witch hunts.
Yeah, for real. But, while we're being critical, we also need to remember empathy.
Empathy for who?
For everyone involved, really. Diddy, the accusers, everyone. This is a messy situation, and it's causing real pain.
It's easy to forget that sometimes when you're just reading headlines,
Totally. We're talking about real lives here. Diddy's reputation might never recover, even if he's never found guilty.
It's a reminder that no one is above consequences.
Yeah. And a reminder that this is about more than just Diddy. It's about alleged abuse, exploitation.
It's about, the systems that allow those things to happen.
Absolutely. And it's about creating a safer, more equitable environment for everyone, regardless of their position or status.
It's about power and accountability.
And making sure victims feel empowered to speak up.
Without fear of retaliation. And it feels like, with this case, people are actually talking about these issues.
Even if it's uncomfortable, it's a conversation we need to have.
So what happens next? Where do we go from here?
Well, the legal battles are still going on. We're going to be following the developments closely, obviously.
But beyond that, this is a story that's got everyone talking.
And that's a good thing. It's raising awareness, forcing us to confront some hard truths.
About the music industry, about power dynamics, about how we treat each other.
And in part 3, we're going to zoom out even further, look at some of the bigger themes.
The history of these kinds of allegations, the role of the media, all of it.
We'll be right back.
We're back. And, it's hard to ignore this feeling that this Diddy situation isn't exactly unique.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. This echoes a long and honestly disturbing history of similar accusations in the entertainment world.
Like we've seen this movie before, haven't we? Powerful people using their position to, take advantage of others.
It's a recurring nightmare, really, from Hollywood to music, all of it. Allegations, cover-ups, and this culture of silence that seems to protect the people at the top.
Reminds me of the #MeToo movement a few years back. That felt like a turning point, right? Exposing how widespread the problem was, especially for women.
#MeToo was huge, no doubt. Brought much needed attention to the issue. But it also showed how deeply rooted this stuff is, how these systems protect abusers.
So how does all that connect to what we're seeing with Diddy? What's the through line here?
Well, if these accusations are true, it suggests the problem hasn't gone away. The alleged power abuse, the manipulation, the exploitation, it's all too familiar.
It's like a broken record. Why does this keep happening? Why haven't things changed?
A lot of reasons, but a big one is the power imbalance, right? You've got these aspiring artists, often young, eager to please, and they're up against these big-time executives, producers, stars.
Who hold all the power, all the keys to success.
Exactly. And that creates a situation ripe for abuse. People with power can easily pressure others into doing things they wouldn't normally do.
And then you've got the culture of silence. Victims are afraid to speak up.
Because the stakes are so high, right? Speaking out could mean ruining your career.
Retaliation, blacklisting, not being believed. The system protects the abusers.
And that silence just allows it all to continue. It's like a green light for bad behavior.
A vicious cycle, yeah. But it does feel like even if these cases don't end in convictions, they can still chip away at that wall of silence.
I think so. When people see others coming forward, sharing their stories, it can be incredibly empowering. It shows them they're not alone, that their voices matter.
Like, if one person's brave enough to speak up, it can inspire others to do the same.
It's the only way things will change. And that's why these conversations are so important, even if they're tough. We need to keep talking about power, consent, accountability, not just in entertainment, but everywhere.
Creating a culture where abuse is just not tolerated, period, and where victims feel safe coming forward.
This case also raises some big questions about the media's role in all this, How do we report on these serious allegations without sensationalizing things?
It's a tough line to walk.
It is. We've all seen how these stories can blow up online, turn into witch hunts before we even know all the facts.
Social media can be a real double-edged sword.
Yeah, no kidding. Journalists have a duty to inform the public, but they also have to be responsible, ethical.
Focus on accuracy, fairness, not just clicks and drama.
Exactly. And we, as consumers of news, we have a responsibility too.
To think